We're glad to have you here. We have a great show coming up here. But at first, we'd like to honor 9/11 here, all the victims in America here. And we'll just have a couple moments of silence here. Joe, if you can get the picture of the flag, thank you. Well, thank you very much for that. And we're going to go with what's on our mind. We have Big Mike Butera at the end there. What's on your mind, Mike?
I'll get to that in a moment. I want to recognize the graduating class of Oakland Catholic High School, all girls Catholic High School from Oakland. Obviously, well, where else would they be from? But the class from '07. I met one of the graduates recently, and I'm going to name names. Her name is Amanda Sedler, a basketballer. She got a full boat scholarship to the University of Akron. She played a year and a half until she did something to one of those oblique muscles, you know, that we don't know about yet, but she did. But I guess the lesson here is, hey, don't fret, kids. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be 33 feet tall to play basketball, because I assure you, nice young lady this tall. Okay, what's on my mind, Machine, to get directly to answer your question, is nothing. Nothing's on my mind, and I'll tell you why. Because that's what the Pittsburgh sports fans got this past weekend. I'm not railing. I'm just telling it like it is. I mean, let's look at it. There was a four-spot possibility. Unfortunately, the two teams bailed. I mean, let's look at it this way. The diehard Pittsburgh sports fan was probably going for a 4-0. Well, you got it, except it came in 0-4 form. The second level of Pittsburgh sports fan was probably thinking, well, 3-1, okay, maybe a sweep of this and a loss in Denver, you know, the sacrificial lamb, whatever. I'm thinking more along the realistic fan was thinking 2-2. Who was going to win the two? Were the Steelers, the Pirates going to win the two, or was it going to be the Squealers that came up? Well, unfortunately, none of that stuff happened. Now, what I wanted to put out to this board, and I know it's only a momentarily what's on my mind, but later on during the discussion, unfortunately, I didn't have time to research this because I'm a busy guy. But what I'd like to know is, how have the Steelers, later on, guys, let's talk about how the Steelers have fared against Peyton Manning. Now he's on his second team. But I'm curious about how that went on. So, Al, that's what's on my mind.
Well, thanks, Big Mike. We're glad to have you aboard, and
thank you.
We'll discuss some of that later on, I'm sure.
Excellent.
Now we go to our NFL scout, and we'll have a separate segment here. You can give the scouting report. So, Smoking Jim Frazier, everybody.
Hey, thanks, Talking Machine. Hey, what's the difference between Cheerios and the University of Pittsburgh? Cheerios belong in a bowl. Pitt doesn't. Hey, I tell you what, Pittsburgh used to be the city of champions. Now Pitt, the Pirates, and the Steelers are all battling to go 500. Hey, listen, I know I made a lot of people mad. I got a lot of, angry emails and text messages when I predicted, guaranteed, that the Denver Broncos would blow out the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I told you before, on my predictions, I'm nearly 97 to 98% correct. The Pittsburgh Steelers they're still a good football team, a lot of injuries. It was a no-brainer. They played actually better than I thought they were going to play heading in. But, this week, we got the New York Jets, who got the best secondary in all of football, and they got Tebow. But I tell you what, on a high school level, I want to thank Keystone Oaks High School for sending over Ricky Rogers, the all-state wide receiver to Gateway. His first ever touchdown in the Gator uniform was 85-yard bomb. So thanks a lot, Keystone Oaks. And Bethel Park surprised me this week. Mount Lebanon put it to Bethel Park. And I made some calls because I thought Bethel Park should have been favored in that football game after blowing out, scoring 60 points on Plum. But I'm hearing that there is some rumbling, some players quitting the Bethel Park program. So if anybody has some insight on what's really happening with the Bethel Park football team, please give a call at What's that number?
412-831-3304. And we can get a hold of Smokin' Jim. I have his direct line on speed dial. So again, 412-831-3304.
And any of those ball players that want to leave the Bethel Park team, see if you have a relative that lives in the Gateway City. It'll make Jim happy.
I'm Uncle Smoke. You can move right in.
How many spare bedrooms do you have?
If you can run a 40, you can have my bedroom, brother. I'll sleep in the game room.
Probably asleep anyway, right?
That's where he's at now. All right. Well, thanks for what's on your mind, Smokin' Jim. I didn't expect that offer there. All right. The Prophet Hayner is here. And
Yahoo.
What's on your mind, Chip?
Well, thank you, Alan. And what's on my mind this week is probably want to be the last times I mention this is Bonusgate, the pay for pain pool that the Saints players participated in, and Roger Goodell ended up with egg on his face because he jumped the gun a little too soon, and an arbitrator ruled against Roger Goodell and ruled for the players, and it was a unanimous decision that Goodell overstepped his authority, and Goodell's response right back was, well, okay, they're not punished now, but we'll find some way to get them. And I'd like to give a little piece of advice to Roger Goodell. It is now football season. The first week of the season is over. This is what we need to be talking about and focusing our energies on. Roger Goodell, you should leave these players alone. You've already punished the Saints. You've punished their coaches. You've punished the management. You've taken away draft picks. You know what? Let this die a quiet death, and let's not hear any more about it, because all it's going to do is take away from what's happening on the field, which is why we all love the NFL in the first place. I think the wars that are fought on Sundays, Monday nights, occasionally Thursday, sometimes Wednesday, those are the things, the battles that we would like to see. These battles in the courtroom are a big waste of our time, and I think it's time for us to enjoy the football season. But that's what's on my mind.
Chip,
Alrighty.
thanks a lot for that. Some good stuff there. Well, everybody knows I do fundraising, and I've talked about Hugathon Pittsburgh. Well, we had our event September 6th and went very well. We had a lot of media people out there. We had military people. We went from the city-county building to hugging under Macy's clock to Katz Plaza. We had over 750 huggers out there, and we had a nice affair. Charlie Batch even come in. The Pittsburgh Passion was there. All our charities, Cancer Caring Center, Sickle Cell Society, Operation Troop Appreciation, and the Passion for Life Foundation. Plenty of Pittsburgh food was going on. We were eating pierogies and all kind of other different things, a lot of ethnic food. It was a lot of fun. And that's it for the Hugathon 2012, folks. So you won't get to hear any more of that.
I think that's a good thing. I mean, that's a good thing about
it was for
Hugathon.
fortune.
Yeah.
Hey, we take it any. Sarcasm is respected here. It's no problem, and I took it in a nice way there, Big Mike. You almost got me to stop talking there. So, and I want to give out a special shout out to a friend of mine, Luke Doyle, who has showed up at Level 20 Lounge a couple times to support us at Pittsburgh Sports Line at Level 20, which is on the 17th. Next Monday we'll be there. So Luke Doyle told me a good friend of mine lives in Bethel Park, Jim Villa. So Jim, hello to you. Here's a little shout out to you. Give us a call, 412-831-3304. Or text me on my phone and I'll give you a little message. But what's on my mind, it's just a short little thing. A certain scout on our show, Smokin' Jim Frazier, told me about this #1 quarterback had this arm that's not that strong. So right before I leave the house to come here and prepare for the show and help with the mic checks and everything, I see Luck going back, and I saw this preview a few times, but it made the #1 play of the week. Luck throws a ball, and I don't know, I think it was maybe 40 yards, 48 yards, and it gets intercepted. And they said, oh, they just took advantage of the rookie. And I thought of Smokin' Jim Frazier here. He's out of luck. He doesn't have an arm. He's not that good. And then I'm looking for RG3, who I watched him play 320 yards. He looked like an experienced NFL quarterback for a first game. And I think Snyder in Washington, D.C. finally has some players for a team. And that's what's on my mind.
Now, Daniel Snyder, give him enough rope, he'll hang himself. He's somebody that will,
Implode.
He could definitely screw up a one-car funeral. Just give him a chance.
So you like him?
Oh, is it that obvious?
Well, let's go to our scout report because it is football season, and Chipper pointed to that. And we'll talk Pirates a little later since Chip has that very nice polo shirt with the Pirate logo on it. Can I get one of those on the bandwagon?
That's right. We still haven't lost faith in our buckos yet.
We'll go to that.
You may be able to get it for $1.
That's what I'm thinking about. Smoking Jim, you bring up a great point.
You know what?
These deep pockets, I can't find that dollar. Anybody that knows me, there's some deep pockets, and these are shorts. Let's go to the NFL, Smoking Jim. Give us some insights on what you saw this week.
Well, what I saw was very predictable. I got to give a lot of credit to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They played their heart out. I really thought that the Pittsburgh Steelers were the 20 to 22 point underdog. That's what I would have had them. But they played hard. As I predicted, as you start to see the Bill Cowher's players begin to retire, you'll begin to see the Pittsburgh Steelers going down and down and down. They're a 9-7 football team, but I think that they'll play above their head and finish 8-8. You can't have all the injuries. You can't have the lack of heart. Marcus Gilbert pulled the fakest injury you ever want to see. He was getting the snot beat out of him. Can I say that on BPTV?
You can say it twice.
And he quit. He's a quitter. He's playing. He's already penciled in as a starter this week. That already proves what I already knew, that he took a dive. You put Mike Adams in the football game. Are you crazy? Ben's out there running for his life. Adams gave up 2 or 3 sacks. I said on draft day he was soft. Pittsburgh secondary. I mean, you're going with Cortez Allen. They're loving Cortez Allen. This is a guy that didn't play football until his senior year of high school. He didn't start for Citadel until his junior year in high school. But because he got great size and he's an outstanding practice player, all of a sudden you don't bring in any competition for this guy, and he's been getting torched. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, and in the words of Chuck Noll, they have problems and they're great. And I tell you what, this week I have the Steelers losing again. It's not one of my predictions, but I do think that
is this a bet the house prediction, or is this just can play with tease it with something?
I wouldn't bet the house on this particular one because the Steelers has something in common with the referees. The Steelers are also playing with replacement players, so the referees could side with them. But as I said all along, the 2 best coaches in all of football, in my opinion, number 1, Jim Harbaugh. Number 2, Rex Ryan. He'll show it this week.
Hey, Smoking Jim, I appreciate it, but I think the referees are watching our show. This is one of the most liveliest shows, and they heard it here that they weren't calling a lot of pass interference, defensive holding. Here's a stat for you, and I know you're a stat man. 29 pass interference calls. Do you know in the last 2 seasons on the first game, they didn't have that many in total as what they did on the first week of the season. So thanks for listening to us, replacement officials. Now I know we're going to get a fair shake and bet the house on Smoking Jim's predictions, but not this week.
I have to disagree with my friend Jim here, and I really think.
Tell us what you think, Jim.
And I really think that the Jets team that we saw in the 4 preseason game is more the team that's going to show up here on Sunday, and I think the Steelers are going to play error-free football. And the big difference in the game Sunday night was, the mistakes that were made. Now there's plenty of mistakes made on the offensive line. Ben hit the ground 5 times, and I'm sure he spent a fair portion of his time running away from these defensive linemen. But Denver has got a very good defensive line. They drafted us. It was one of these young kids they drafted up this year. It looks like he's going to really pan out into being something. But the Jets, they're confused offensively, and somehow they clicked last week. I don't know. The planets must have been lined up right. But I think Sanchez and Tebow will screw that offense up good enough, and I think the Steelers will win their first victory this week.
Well, one thing that I like is one of the guys that I was happy that come back this year was Max Starks. He actually played a pretty good game getting in front of people, except for one play where he sort of screwed up and Ben got hit and sacked. But he made up for that by getting in the way, just like some of these other guys. How did they stop, Dumerville and the other guy until the end of the game? And then think about this, guys. If he would have just thrown a little more air under that one pass to Heath Miller, that changes the whole complexion of the game. I'm telling you. You wouldn't have had any panic there because we would have had a lead. And all he had to do, Heath was so wide open, all he had to do is get a little air under it. And he's done that many times because he normally throws to the corner. Why he tried to wing it in there, I don't know. You'll have to get some insights when you see the Steelers.
Well, that's the catch-22, and we'll go to Magic Mike after this. But with the offensive line being as poor as it has been for the last 4 or 5 years, it's a shame because Heath Miller is one of the best tight ends in all of football, one of the best tight ends, statistically the best tight end in Steeler history. But he has to stay in and block to help out the offensive tackles. Just imagine how great a weapon Heath Miller could be.
He was one injury away
if we had a great offensive line.
He was one injury away from being a tackle.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Good point.
I mean, that was because I kept looking around and we're talking, who else is left on the offensive line? I said, I don't think there's anybody out there. Then I heard the announcer go, this is it.
Have you ever had discomfort in your legs and your knees? You don't just sit on the bench like this, like Marcus Gilbert. You're in pain. That guy took a dive, and I tell you what.
What was the eye injury, too, that somebody had? That
the orbital bone or something.
Well, there wasn't even a broken bone. At least Harrison went out and played again with a broken bone. The guys were just standing there, like you said, very calm.
Well, another thing that's going to wake up this weekend is Steelers running game. They didn't show up on Sunday night, and if it wasn't for Ben and his mastery of the no huddle offense, wouldn't have even been in the game. So the running attack has got to wake up. They've got to do a far cry better than what they did.
Well, I thought they were supposed to coach a little better. Tomlin had said the running back that seems to be producing more is going to play more. Well, I sort of noticed Dwyer was running pretty effectively. Looks like he lost weight, and he's actually a little faster, like you had said. So I thought he should have played more. Then I'm listening to one of the reports today on that, I forget the station, the Fan we don't talk about. And they were talking about the interviews, and Dwyer's going to play some more. So this is like brilliant that they learned that Monday morning quarterbacks like us here, or except for Smoking Jim, he says it ahead of time. Hey. Big Mike, what do you want to? You want to ask a question? You've been silently holding your hand down.
Can I go to the men's room? I got. No. Okay, well then I'll stay in yak. Number one, is it okay on public access television to initiate a contest, a caller contest? What's the number?
412. I forget.
Okay.
831-3304. Well, you're not giving away beer or anything.
No. It's all legit.
Vacation to your house or anything, or.
No, I'm not going there either. No, right. I don't go there.
Does your wife know this?
By the way, speaking of my wife, it was probably a week ago that we were discussing what an oblique
What's
muscle.
this oblique?
Yeah, well, I found out. I looked this up, kids. In the day of old school, the comparable injury in old school was a sprained brain ligament. Think about it. Now, the contest that I'd like to initiate is that I want you callers to call in. Every time you hear the magic phrase Tim Tebow, I want you to call in with Babe Ruth. Okay, can we do that on television? Okay.
412-831. Forget it. Nobody's calling in tonight. Jeez, we got a streak going on here.
What? Let me ask you guys a question.
Here, call the phone.
That might be cool.
412-83. I'll talk to you.
We talk to each other anyway. Smokin said a moment ago that he got some email responses. Do we get emails and do we hear?
Oh yeah, on our phones we do. Mine's a dumb phone and I get text messages.
Well, mine's a smartphone. I get nothing. But that's
412-831-3304.
While we're still on the NFL, looking at the rest of the games that were played this weekend, it looks like you're going to probably end up seeing the Ravens and the Patriots facing off, and in January to see who's Both teams came out looking very, very strong. The Ravens looked pretty impressive last night, but I remember last year on 9/11 they beat the snot out of the Steelers, and then they went in a tank the next week. I guess they played their Super Bowl the first week of the season, and when they won that, they didn't show up for the next week. But the Ravens look solid all the way around. Ray Lewis looks like he hasn't lost a step. I know that's.
What do you think of Flacco? Did he look like the best quarterback or what?
You know what? Flacco's a good game manager. I mean, one of the things that Flacco isn't going to do, he's not going to pull a Tony Romo on you, and he's not going to eventually do something that's going to lose you the game. Romo started out the season with a pretty nice night against the defending champs, but the Ravens and the Patriots looked real strong. 49ers looked really, really impressive, beating the Packers in Green Bay. That was, Aaron Rodgers looks like he was going to come back, pull that game out, at the end, and San Francisco came through. But looks like, the teams that were strong last year are going to be that way again this year.
Well, the thing that's scary about the Ravens, what hurts the Steelers overall is a no-huddle offense. And the Ravens surprised the NFL, and they went with the no-huddle offense. The emergence of the former Pitt backup, Flacco, his maturity, size, arm strength. They got some good receivers with the Ravens. Excellent offense, excellent running back out of the backfield in Rice. Defensively, congratulations to Ed Reed. He has more yards on interceptions than any other player in NFL history. Sounds like he's on his way to the Hall of Fame. And congratulations again to the greatest player in NFL history, Ray Lewis. 17 years, ain't lost a step.
Well, he's now the offensive coordinator in Baltimore is Jim Caldwell, the former head coach of the Indy Colts last year.
Are you serious?
That's the offensive coordinator.
Oh, man, I don't know who did more coaching in Indianapolis, Caldwell or the cutout poster of Joe Paterno. He did no coaching when he was there. He almost came to Pittsburgh. He almost came to Pittsburgh. He interviewed for the coordinator.
Since we're talking offense,
before they hired Haley.
What do you think of the Steeler offense? It was so predictable until they went, no huddle.
Well, no huddle. Ben calls all the plays.
But that's my point of that, exactly. And we saw it: run on first down. Maybe run on second down, throw the ball or get sacked.
Well, like I said before, everybody is giving Haley all this credit. Haley doesn't have a football background. I mean, this guy was a professional golf player, never played football other than being a ball boy for the Steelers growing up. This is a guy that his offense was Wisenhunt's offense. Wisenhunt was the offensive coordinator with Arizona. Wisenhunt stole that offense from Malarkey. Malarkey stole it from Shane Gailey. Now, you look at Haley. I look at Haley, and I don't know if it's Todd Haley or David Shula. That's who I'm looking at. So,
don't say that.
Big Ben does a good job calling his own plays. I don't think Haley would have allowed him to do that at the other places. I think Haley is shaking confidence-wise. You get fired 2.5 years into a contract at Kansas City. It's not because they think they got the next Vince Lombardi.
Great insights there. Big Mike, you got any other contests to run now since you just
no, but
you were on the phone right now. I mean, they're calling like crazy.
I want to show
you get an email yet?
Knowledge of football.
Oh, okay.
That was overlooked in the Monday morning newspaper.
I thought we'd have a contest that snot was mentioned now 5 times. I thought that was the next one. And that hasn't been mentioned on the show till tonight.
Okay. Next contest. I want the first, it doesn't matter which one you call. The first person to call in, come up with Chip's real name. And it's not Larry. Okay? First person to come up with Chip's real name.
412-831. You want me to say the rest?
Absolutely.
3304.
Call in. Please, call in.
Now. Anybody.
Here's
my biggest fan. Call in on my phone.
While we're still on football.
Chocolate chip?
He did have a chocolate chip last week, and the video went up a little bit late on that on YouTube.
Late breaking.
While we're still on football,
Again,
we're in the heart of the college football season, and I'm going to tell you, you folks, something. I know there's going to be a college game played here in the North Shore this weekend. But if you want to see some really good football, Friday night's your best bet. I would go watch some of these games in the WPIAL because I think there are teams in the WPIAL that can beat Pitt. The performance that they've put out the first 2 weeks is just absolutely awful. I mean, there is no better way to put it. The offense doesn't know what they're doing. Tino Sinceri, I don't know why he's quarterback of that team. Maybe he's got connections. I don't know. But I mean, they can't tackle. They can't run. They can't pass. I mean, they lost to a Division II team. That's never happened in Pitt's history.
Wow.
And what are their prospects? They're playing Virginia Tech this weekend. Do you think there might be 12 people in the stadium this weekend? I mean, they got them playing in a stadium. They should put them in a high school stadium. Then it might look full, But they're going to be playing before a whole bunch of empty seats. And there is no prospect. I mean, Pitt, you are bowl eligible this year. Just think, you can win 6 games and you can go to a bowl. Penn State can't do that, and I don't think they've got a better chance of winning 6 games than Pitt does, and we've got no sanctions. We didn't have anybody jump the team. I don't know. The Pitt football program is an embarrassment right now, and that's really the point I'm trying to make.
Well, the point I'm going to make is we all could get good seats there, so anybody that has these Pitt tickets wants to donate to us. Big Mike, what's the number? Do you know yet?
It's 412-831, and that's the
3304.
There you go, 3304.
How do you practice with a team for 8 months and they perform so poorly in 2 games?
Chip, here was a sign. The coach said they asked him a question before the season started, and he goes, "Boy, I wish we were still able to have our practice before the season starts." How about that? Mm-hmm. That was what he said, meaning I love the practice.
Well, I know one team that's been blowing everybody out, Arizona State. Everybody got on high octane, but a high octane looking real good for Arizona State right now.
Here, my biggest fan sent in an answer to it. She said, Charles or Howard?
I know her name.
Give a hint, first letter, ha-ha.
Okay, incorrect on both.
Biggest fan, you got to go back to the drawing board.
But you're incorrect on both, but keep working on it.
There's still hope out there.
Keep hope alive.
It's 6 letters, I will give you that.
There you go.
But here's
seriously now. We got to get serious. Go ahead.
Well, I'll give you guys. My pick of the week. You can bet your house on it. I don't know the point spread. A lot of people are saying it's about even to pick them. But I tell you what, one of the top 10 quarterbacks in all of football, including the National Football League, plays for USC. Matt Barkley. Mm-hmm. Matt Barkley is an incredible quarterback. This past week, he threw 6 touchdowns in 1 game. It's the 3rd time in his career he did that. He may throw 7 this week. He's playing Stanford. Stanford's absolutely loaded this year, but USC not only will beat Stanford, not only can you put some money away, but Matt Barkley is going to win the Heisman Trophy, be the first player picked overall, and they're going to win the national championship this year. You heard it here.
That's awesome, because I hope he's he must be a better football player than he is a golfer, because that guy's got the worst swing that I've ever seen on television.
Well,
thanks for your insights.
Well, that's my football knowledge. And here's a late-breaking score. I tried to get in earlier. It wasn't in the paper on Monday morning, and it was New York 13, Baltimore 3. Yankees over the Orioles.
Wow.
Whoa. We went to baseball. The season ticket holder, the Yankee fan, is back. He got rid of the football hat.
All right, here's more football.
Back down to the college football. What the NCAA's done this year with the BCS, and they're going to start the 14 playoff system. And I think one of the things that they're addressing, which hasn't happened yet, but will happen over the next couple of years, is everybody usually schedules these cupcakes, in the first few games of the season. So
I thought you were talking about your birthday cupcake.
So you can run the score up on somebody 69-0 and make your team look very impressive. But the strength of schedule is going to come into play when it comes down to picking the 4 teams that make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And, in a team like Alabama playing Michigan right out the bat, out of that kickoff classic in Cowboy Stadium, they played a higher-ranked opponent and beat them, than somebody that's beating somebody like,
right.
Like Youngstown State, which Pitt couldn't do. So it's going to behoove these teams to play better competition earlier in the season, which I think ultimately can make college football much more interesting, because really, who pays much attention to college football until they get into their conference schedules? Because, you know, they play a bunch of meatballs, nobody cares. Everybody ends up 6-0, so they're guaranteed their bowl spot for the year. And, you know, you see a completely watered down.
You mean
process.
Alabama getting more credit for playing Michigan and Oklahoma
Why
State
that-
did for playing Savannah State?
Right. And
Hold it. Why was Alabama number 2 in the country?
That's
How
why
did
they
they
became
start out at
number
number 2?
that
To me, I got to investigate who's picking.
they're
that.
they're
Come on
defending
now.
champs. They're number 1.
Come
until
on,
they're
man. I just heard that before we come in. How did they drop to number 2, Alabama, to start the season?
That was one of my rants a week or two
I
ago.
know that. I'm
About the
reviving
way,
it.
about the, you know,
It's
it
about
doesn't
the
make
money.
any sense.
Chip, it's about the money. That's the
And
thing.
they've watered down the product so much that, you know, I don't know.
And what did you guys think about, since we're talking college football, that kid Finken or something? He missed 4 field goals and an extra point for Penn State. They said he tried to kill himself after that.
No.
Did he?
Yeah, there was rumors that he was trying to commit suicide.
Well, maybe
Oh, my.
his
That
teammates
sports was out of control.
Maybe his teammates.
Unfortunately, he pulled the trigger and he missed.
Yeah.
You guys,
But I actually watched that game.
You did that to me? I can't believe it.
But that's not the reason
No,
why.
no,
That's
no.
not the reason why Penn State lost that football game. The reason why Penn State lost that football game is because they have an inferior head coach. Listen, what has O'Brien ever done in terms of coaching? Listen, there's some guys who are fit for college coaches. Other guys are fit for NFL coaches. Other guys are fit for high school coaches. O'Brien's claim to fame is he got in Brady's face last year. We can all coach Brady. Just roll the football out there and let him go.
Yeah, but
He's the best quarterback in NFL history. This is what lost the game for Penn State. It wasn't the 4 field goals that the kicker kicked, who wasn't even supposed to be the kicker this year because the other kicker transferred. It's because when the starting quarterback got hurt, you got an all-state, all-American backup quarterback from Stowe Rocks named Paul Jones. But this week, they moved Paul Jones to tight end, and they put in a true freshman who was totally lost. If they had any competent backup quarterback, Penn State wins that game and be 1-1. So that loss is on O'Brien. It's not on the kicker right now. So get off that bridge, son.
well, do you think Tom Bradley should have been kept as the head coach then, with all this controversy and stuff? He would have made a huge difference then.
Well,
If he
there's
was
a lot.
allowed to
There's a
stay.
lot of guys. You know, they cleaned out that whole program, and the Pittsburgh Steelers brought in Bradley to help do a lot of things, including be their post game
I've heard him.
pregame guy. And Bradley's a great guy. There's a lot of guys, but what you wanted to do is get a college football coach. I mean, if you was going to get O'Brien, you might as well have got the fat guy that used to coach Notre Dame. He'd have done the same thing.
But Smoke, the guy that succeeds Joe Paterno, I mean, that's like a, what do you call it, no-win situation, don't you think?
And that's what they did.
Yeah,
And
no win.
Yeah, that guy's win, lose, or draw. It's not gonna. It's just.
Well, especially, you know, anybody that's following Joe Paterno, considering the circumstances that existed that caused him to be, you know, taken out. I mean, there was no way they were going to ever keep anybody from Paterno's staff because, you know, because of this scandal and everything that went with it, they wanted to completely break the ties from the past. And subsequently, that's why Tom Bradley became a victim of circumstance. You know, I honestly think that he would have probably been the wisest choice to be the head coach there. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way things panned out. But, you know, I mean, Pitt was looking for a head coach, too. They still are.
Yeah, yeah.
We've got a lot of issues there. Let's switch it up to a little bit of baseball here. We've been holding
All right.
Chip back for the Pirates. I'm still on the bandwagon. My left leg is getting dragged on the street right now because I'm almost off of it. Chipper, tell me why I should stay on, except for the 2.5 games they are behind.
Here's what the thing is. You know, the Pirates have lost 8 of their last 10 games. And that is not the way that you're going to ever make it into the playoffs, okay? But the good news on that is they're still only 2.5 games out of the wild card spot. And if you look at what's coming up, you look at the St. Louis Cardinals. They got a 4-game set coming up against the Dodgers. The Dodgers play the Cardinals for 4 games, the Nationals for 3 games, and the Reds for 3 games. So these are teams that are above us that have a little bit more of a harder road to toe than we do. And I mean, the time for, we can always get them tomorrow is over with the Pirates. They need to win right now, okay? And, they can put together a streak and they can still end up making the playoffs. They're not completely out of it. There's 22 games left in the season. A lot of things can happen. And, they just got to find a way to score runs. I mean, it's so heartbreaking. In the top of the 14th inning, we have bases loaded. We have nobody out. And what do? The next two batters up, swing at pitches out of the strike zone, pop up, 2 pitches, 2 outs, and we don't score any runs, and we lose in the bottom of the 14th. I mean, the people are just trying, too hard instead of relaxing. The announcers were talking about this pitcher for the Reds. They're like, this kid's been known to be wild. Don't be too surprised if he throws a wild pitch. And, of course, we don't let him throw more than 2 pitches, and he gets 2 outs. We're shooting our own selves in the foot. But you know what? Everybody knows what they need to do in this. And the simple fact is the players need to produce on the field. They got to start hitting the ball. They got to start getting runs across the place. And this isn't anything that the manager or the coaches can do about this. At this point in the season, we all know that they can compete. They can all hit. They just need to do it now. But I still believe in them. I still say they're going to get that last wild card spot.
You got to love the guy. Here, what is this, guys? This is the rear view mirror, and I see Cliff, Roy, and Cole. And that's Holiday, Hamels, and Cliff Lee. Here come the Phillies. I don't dislike nor do I like the Phillies, but I'll tell you what, they got rid of, they had a household, what do you call that, firehouse, what do you call that when you get rid of guys?
Firehouse sale?
That too. They
Fire sale.
Fire sale. It's something like that. They got rid of some guys, and all of a sudden they're coming on strong. And the 2 guys they were counting on to come back, Chase Utley and Ryan Howard. I mean, they're not not the lights on Broadway, even though they play in Philadelphia. But there is whatever. But
Great
I'm
metaphor
telling
there. Yeah, you're mixing metaphors all over the place.
Metaphors, man. I gotta
Well,
look that up.
there are a lot of other good division races right now. The Yankees are in a knockdown, drag-out fight with the Baltimore Orioles, but the Yankees' first baseman Teixeira is going to be out for a while.
Maybe
for the year.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt the Yankees. I mean, they need his bat in the lineup. And another thing with the St. Louis Cardinals, Lance Berkman is having season-ending knee surgery. Lance Berkman is one of those been there, done that kind of guys that you can count on in the clutch in a race. And without his bat in the lineup, that's got to bode well for the Pirates. So I'm looking at positives in everything. I'm looking at no negatives.
I'm a Pittsburgh born, lived all my life, and I chose to stay here for all my life. And consequently, I mean, I do have. Not his passion, man, because that's off the charts. But I like the guys in uniform. I love them. Okay, and I'm not going to be on there. But I want to say something in defense of the Yankees because everybody jumps on the Yankees for this, that, and the other thing. Well, Chip, I hope you agree. Mark Teixeira is a blow, but guess what? Guess what they lost this year? I mean, they lost not second line players. They lost superstars, and superstars. Yet they're good enough and smart enough to get the players to supplant or to fill in the meantime. I mean, they lost a 10-game lead. It's touch and go now. But I'm telling you,
when you got a $200 million payroll,
See, that's
it's easy to hide people on your bench. They got guys playing on their bench that's making more money than our stars.
Hold it, our franchise isn't even worth $200 million here.
And there's a good reason why.
Why? It has a great ballpark. It's beautiful, and you see nice teams come in here.
And you just named everything but.
What? What are you trying to say there?
Should I say nutty and honey and
Nutty?
Did I say that? Okay, we don't name names here, do we?
Yeah, we're a little outspoken at times. No offense, man.
Because I don't want people calling in. What's that number again? 412-831-3470. I don't want people calling in and saying, "Get rid of that guy, the good-looking guy in the end." Because he's an
want to talk
anti-this.
about something that bothers me with baseball is the way the Washington Nationals have shut down Steven Strasburg for the rest of the season. Here's now the Nationals are playing so well right now. They're arguably the best team in baseball. I just can't fathom why, in the midst of a chance where they have a chance to win a championship, that they would take an ace of their staff and shut him down completely. Are they going to reactivate him when it comes playoff time? Is he going to get to play?
No. Did you hear what happened? The game before he was supposed to be shut down, he was disinterested because he was going to be shut down. Did you hear all of that stuff?
I heard about that. But
they were talking about that, so they shut him down early. Now you think about it, this reconstructive surgery, we've talked about it, it may make you better, and some people were saying you could do that in advance to have your pitchers. Weren't we going against a pitcher the other night that they did shut down too? I forget the young kid's name there who just had similar surgery with, I forget if it was St. Louis. One of the teams that beat us, I can't think of which one it is. There's so few. But he got shut down too, and he pitched, I think, like a complete game.
Well,
Why you signed this kid because you want to help you bring a championship to your team. You know, there is no guarantees in baseball. What do you think, by shutting him down now that he's going to have a 15-year career? You know what? He could blow out his elbow or his shoulder on the first pitch of spring training next year. And then what did you do? You spent a whole bunch of money on somebody and you got absolutely no return on him. I mean, you know, you let the kid pitch. That's what you paid him to do. And you know what? Whatever happens, happens.
That's old time baseball. I don't know what it's old time. Old time
Before
baseball.
that's before my time. In
That's
high
before
school.
you had 150 games in Forbes Field
Yeah.
and
Hey,
football games and everything else.
Yeah, hockey too. They used to surf the day.
Get the puck out of here.
4-1-2, and it's the machine down here.
And now, you know, and that you mentioned that hockey word. Saturday could be the day that the players get locked out, and there may be no NHL season. And as a matter of fact, the two sides aren't even talking to one another.
Bet the house.
Wait a second.
The Al Levine pick.
They're
Bet
not
the
even,
house.
They're
Lock
not
'em
even
out.
talking to one another. And players like Evgeny Malkin, they've already got teams lined up in the Russian KHL league. And they said, don't be too surprised if they don't see Sid go. But they say most of the North American players will wait till the very last minute. More of the European players, they've already got their plans made. They're going to be playing for hockey for somebody, and I don't think it's going to be in the NHL this year.
What's your prediction?
Well, I'm sorry.
Well,
Actually, I'm not.
you know, the optimist part of me says that they're going to come to a last-second agreement, but I have a feeling that the owners are going to lock out the players, and this is just going to turn into another lost season. And what it's going to do is it's going to hurt hockey's fan base because they're trying to build you know, they've got Sid Crosby as the face of hockey, you know, and they're trying to market him. They're playing games on New Year's Day, you know, so you're trying to maximize television coverage. You do something like this and it's going to fall back into being just another regional sport that nobody outside of the Northeast is really going to care about. And they're going to lose any goodwill that they got from a team from Los Angeles winning the title and exposing the game to more people than have seen before. But it's a huge mistake if they can't find a way to settle this out. But you guys need to sit down at the negotiating table and work this out.
Chip, I'm more realistic. Like I've said before, you got two sides that are polarized, and that's what they're fighting about. You're going to have an NBA-like season. That's what I think will happen. It will be a shortened season. They're not going to come together right now because they're at opposite extremes here. And look at who they have as their lawyer and the players.
But you know, Henry, you look at it like this. You know, you're a fan, okay? You go to these games, all right? You buy a 2-game season ticket package. And what are tickets to Penguins games? You know, $75, $80, $90, $100 a ticket.
$150 even.
Okay, you know, all of a sudden, you know, they're playing a season, and instead of paying the 82 games, and you're paying for 41 home games, they're playing half that many, okay? And you're still getting a season, you're still getting a chance. Like, why am I paying all this money for all these games when, you know what, most of these games don't matter anyhow? You know, maybe this is the harbinger of a shorter season, which, you know, how much sense would that make? Because, you know, hockey, they start in October, they play until mid-June. Right. I mean, that sport goes on forever and ever. Yeah. You know, but I mean, the only way for the owners and the players to get the message is if the people that go and buy the seats stop buying them and putting up with their crap, and then, you know, maybe they would think more of the fans instead of their own greed.
Good point.
May I speak on behalf of Smokin', and may I speak on your behalf?
Oh, thank you, sir.
Any of you Pittsburgh Penguins out there, or any NHLers that get locked out, if you can run the 40 in like 2 seconds, his door is always open. You won't get locked out.
But you have to be able to catch a ball or hold a ball. They got the puck.
Like that guy for the what do you call it, the New England Patriots. Was he able to finish his dance even though he threw the ball?
Gronkowski.
Yeah, Gronk.
Yeah, then he looks at his glove. He caught the ball.
You know what? They outlawed that stickum years ago, as you know. Now they have the Velcro and it fell off. That's all.
And he looked at his glove and why does the guy have to wear gloves in what is this, September? I don't understand that. But then again,
you know, when I read something this past week, there's one of the NFL coaches. and and for charity this year, every time his team scores a touchdown, and one of his players, whoever scores a touchdown, just scores a touchdown, walks over and hands the ball to the referee, he will donate so much money, under each of those touchdowns for charity. And I can't remember who it was, but he had a talk with the team because one of his players is a big showman when he scores, and he's trying to get his guys from doing post-touchdown celebrations. But I think it's a pretty noble cause to do something like that and donate the money to charity. And for the life of me, I cannot remember who it was.
If anybody knows, 412-831-3304.
I'm trying to think like maybe it was Malarkey or the new coach down in Jacksonville.
Dave Wannstedt, maybe.
Well, I hope it's not Toys for Tots, because the kids won't get any toys if you expect these guys not to hot dog it in the end zone.
But I think you just made a valid point. If you want to do something, you want to institute something, you can do it. Again, you can do it. I was talking about steroids a couple weeks ago, and I'm a firm believer. If with all due respect to unionism and all that jazz, because I'm neither for nor against, but if the players got together and went to their teams and said, clean up the sport, if that's the way you want to put it, you can. It's if you want to institute something, to get rid of the anti-touchdown on jazz, you can do it, man. They instituted a flag on excessive celebrating. Well, you can flag. I mean, what's it mean? 15 yards? That's not the end of the game. They could bring down a house if they wanted to. You could institute whatever you want. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Babe Ruth.
Hey, you know what? On a different
Not tonight.
on a non-sports related note,
What do you got,
there was
Chip?
an announcement this morning that the Allegheny County is no longer going to do the celebration of lights, the Christmas light display at Hartwood Acres. They're going to cancel that because of the rising costs. And UPMC, which is one of the bigger corporate sponsors for them, has not ponied up any money this year. And it says Allegheny, it's going to cost Allegheny County $1.5 million to run the light display like they've been doing every year for the past 20 or so years. And the big loser in all this is the charity that they were, what is it, Project Bundle Up? Mm-hmm. Last year they brought in like over almost $200,000, and that provides for the needy people in the city, provides them winter coats, blankets, food, and stuff like that. And it's something that's being cut out this year. I think it's a shame that somehow, some way, the businessmen in Pittsburgh can't find a way to keep something like this going, because it benefits a lot of needy people.
Aren't those lights strung up year-round?
No, they don't. They take them down. They take them down in the spring, because I do a lot of work in and around the North Park area, and I drive through there, and they've been down for a while. They keep them up for a couple of months in the winter, depending on the weather.
So why don't we start a fundraiser here and get Pittsburgh going to save Hartwood Acres light show here?
Yeah.
No joke.
Or why don't you get
I'll
UPMC?
I'll donate that $1 Alan's going to give me when the Pirates win their second game.
Whoa, wait a second. Chipper, I can't find it. I'm looking for Chip's dollar. No, I'm on the bandwagon. I hope I owe you $1.
But that was my non-sports related thing. That's something that I've been doing every year. I like to go up there and drive through and see the displays. It's really beautiful when you go up right after the snow. But I mean, how many people brought their children to that? And their children are now grown, and they're bringing their children. And this is a tradition that's going by the wayside because of all the budgetary cuts, because we can't see.
Why don't we get some fundraising out there like people do at their homes? Look at all these light displays in different neighborhoods. They put out a wishing well or something, and people donate. And they get the money for charity there, plus to pay their electric bill since it's going up.
Well, if it was a charitable event, then everybody was donating their time to put those structures up and string those lights. Is that correct or incorrect?
Yeah. But there was a
bill
lot
to pay.
involved, but there's still a bill to pay, and you got there's people that got to get paid to. For some facets of that, there's people that.
But you said like how many million?
1.5, he said.
1.5 million. That's what it costs to put up the display and run it.
Holy smokes!
And then
You're gonna write the check,
and
Big
for the
Mike?
Project Bundle,
write
over
the
the
check.
years they brought in over $4 million in donations from people just going through, and people really enjoy giving at Christmas time.
Yes, they do.
And you get a little something out of it, and you got memories and tradition and all that other kind of stuff. But hey, we all know in the society that we live in, somebody's got to pay the bills, and can't keep hitting up the taxpayers
Yeah.
because they're bleeding us dry as it is.
Chip,
And this is a non-political show at this point here.
Is that it is? Is that a done deal? Is that
Well,
official?
as for now, yes, it is. Unless somebody comes up and says that, you know what, I'll foot the bill for it. Right now, it's dead in the water.
Well, this is something that was brought to my attention a week or so ago by a friend of mine. He says, you know, we're either a little town, little big towners, or a big small town, one or the other, Pittsburgh that is. And he said they were always behind the curve and stuff. And he was trying to emphasize or tell me that maybe now we're seeing, I don't like to use the R word, recession word, because whatever, but he's telling me that, and it may well be emphasizing your point, Chip, about the Heartwood Acre Lights, is that maybe we're seeing what the larger cities saw a few years ago in terms of cutbacks and things of that nature, and that I don't know, that a possibility. I mean, he's telling me from his standpoint, from his business, and compared to the previous years as to how it is right now.
Well, you know, the thing is, you know, and this can equate, dovetail it back into sports, is that, you know, everybody's making budgetary cuts because the economy's in bad shape. You know, none of us have the money that, you know, I don't have the money to dispose of now that I did 4 or 5 years ago.
You'll have a dollar.
Gas prices
You'll
are
get a dollar pretty soon.
almost $4 a gallon, and they're going up. You know, so you know you see these professional athletes that are getting paid exorbitant amounts of money, okay, and living this big hotshot lifestyle, and then you see these players and the owners going on strike, and you know, you think about it as, you know, somebody who's got to put food on their table. Hey, if I can afford, you know, to put groceries in my refrigerator and feed my family for a week, right, and take my wife to the Steeler game, I mean, what sounds like a better option?
In
You know,
Pittsburgh, you go to the Steeler game.
Yeah, I know.
Come on now.
You and the wife go and eat bologna sandwiches for a week. And,
Well, I tell you what, I don't care what kind of recession we're going through. I don't care what's happening. But when my Buccos go 82 wins, gotta be a parade. I want to see Neil Walker riding downtown in the limo. I tell you what, I want MVP Pedro coming down, man. Going to Rosetta Stone, learning a little bit more English. I tell you what, 82 Pittsburgh Pirates deserve a parade, whether they make the playoffs or not.
Hold it a
Go
second.
Buccos.
Hold it a second. The only reason, folks, he wants to see the parade is because of the pretty wives. We saw that a few weeks ago. He's an MVPer for Pedro because of his wife. Son of a
Give
gun.
me a desperate housewife any day.
There's going to be a parade for 82 and 80.
Yeah, and
Wow.
it cost me $1. I thought you're my friend. No, I hope they do make the wild card. It'd be disappointing, like I've
Well,
said,
you
if
know
they
what?
don't make the wild
You know,
card
and
after
you
being
think
16 games up.
You think about it, though. Right now, right where the Pirates are sitting, they've got 22 games left. They go at 11-11. The chances are they're gonna find their way in. I mean, it's not completely what
you
they
say
what
if
they
they
need
go 11?
what they need to do is what they were able to do earlier in the year. And you know, right now they're not getting the deep ball at all. And you know, they need to start connecting on some of these.
The long throw.
When's Walker coming back? That's the problem there. You told me he was like the glue in this infield
Well,
and
and I'm
everything, and
telling
I
you
think
what,
you're
you can
right.
see- you can
I think
see-
you're right.
Taking his bat out of the lineup made a big difference. The guy's got over 70 RBIs. He was leading second baseman in RBIs in the major leagues.
And that's
I mean,
why you're the prophet Hainer, buddy. You
and,
predicted
you know,
this again.
and this is the thing with the Pirates. You know, the Pirates aren't a deep enough team, albeit the Yankees, okay, that do have the depth and can afford to keep. You know, the Pirates can put out a good starting
he?
nine, but I mean,
Albeit.
you know, when it comes to somebody to fill their
I
shoes,
agree.
they don't have it right now, and you know that has really made a big impact on it. But their season is nowhere near over. They can turn it around, and my prediction is it's going to start tonight at Great American Ballpark. The Buccos are going to take down the Reds.
All right,
Chip,
now
I got a
let's-
breaking report from the biggest fan. She said it was tied.
Nothing.
So I think they each scored.
Okay.
This-
Okay.
this
No, they're going to win it, man. They're definitely going to win it, man.
There you go.
They're capable of
If we
beating
get
the
that
Reds.
last
They
text,
can do
biggest
it.
fan, let us know that score before the end of the show.
And I'll still be going to
Tuesday
4
night?
games
Who's
in the
playing?
next homestand.
Chip, I'm with you. I'm
telling
on the
you,
bandwagon still.
I'm
But
going
he
to
looks to me when he talks about the
Reds.
Yankees and payroll and stuff, and this Albeit guy doesn't play in any of the major
No,
leagues.
he was a first-round pick.
And Chip,
in old school days, he was the first-round pick before they had first-round picks.
how many games did he play for? So the
202.
Pirates, I got to get rid of this pen. It's irritating me. The Pirates play in the Central Division in the National League. What's the top payroll? The Milwaukee Boozers? I mean, and look what they got. The Pirates are in a winnable division. Who's in the lead? Oh, Cincinnati, man. They're off the charts. Forget about it. But the Reds have a.
Thank you for contradicting yourself.
That's
That's
what I'm
why
here
we're
for.
glad
That's
to
what I'm
have
here
you
for.
here. You're just a contradiction in everything you're speaking about. When are you going up to see the Yankees before the end of the season?
To be honest with you, the Reds are so untouchable this year simply because they've basically been starting the same 5 guys in their rotation most of the season. They have not been bitten by the injury bug. And I'm telling you what, they've got a good starting 5 they can put up. And if you get into a 5-game series, Cueto, if you can pitch him twice against your opponents, there's a good chance you're going to win 2 games. That kid's an awesome.
The Reds are the real
bad
deal.
News for you. We're down 4-1.
It's all right.
Who
One
won?
swing of the bat.
Still
Them. Okay.
Yeah, them. The other team scored more. I just wanted to ask this Yankee fan who, left Pittsburgh to go get a season ticket. He got all the season tickets up there.
Yeah.
When are you going back up again for their series?
I have tickets on Sunday. I have tickets on Sunday's the 16th, and I have tickets on the 20th, and then on the 2nd of October for the Boston Red Sox. And since we've only mentioned my wife once this evening, my wife she's questionable for all 3 of the games. So call in that number 412-831-3470.
No, 3304.
Isn't that what I said? And then mention Tim Tebow and Babe Ruth, and you might be eligible for a company.
Mike, here's a question for you.
Lay it on me.
Being American League East aficionado,
Those big
what
words.
do you
An
think?
A-word
What do you
again.
think the chances are of Bobby Valentine keeping his job
Oh,
in
man,
Boston after
yes-
the end of the season?
Yesterday he said, "Oh boy, only 3 more weeks to go."
He's gone.
Oh, but goodness, he's checking out. Well. Let's go to the beginning. When he got the job, which I think was January this year. I mean, he hadn't even put on the uniform yet. He took the stage. I like Bobby V, and supposedly he knows X and O's, but he doesn't know.
Isn't that football, though?
He doesn't know both. Okay.
Isn't X and O's football?
Well, yeah, okay. He doesn't know like.
Sorry. That's
doesn't-
those mixed metaphors you throw around again.
That's big words. Come on. He said from the get-go, he goes like this, and he's a guy from Connecticut that was on the lower end of Connecticut, which automatically made him a Yankee fan. He said, "I hate the Yankees." Now, you don't say that. I mean, you don't come out and say you hate the other team, which is your arch rival before the season even starts. That just put the ball in motion for. I don't think Youkilis is not here mentally or physically. That just made that just put the ball in motion for disaster.
I think Bobby Valentine's biggest problem is he was the only person that the Red Sox could have hired that had a bigger ego to feed than was already in the locker room there. I mean, I think what you had was a clash of egos, and he lost the team 5 minutes after he walked in the door, and they didn't perform for it. Because to be honest with you, you look at the Red Sox this year, how that team ended up where it is. That just shows you how poorly he mismanaged that team. And to be honest with you, Red Sox, get rid of him.
On that happy note, I want to thank everybody for watching our show, and whatever our phone number is, try to text that to me. Big Mike Butera, thanks for showing up and helping us out tonight. Smoking Jim Frazier's insights were off the hook. Bet his house. And the prophet, Chip Hayner, made his statement.
Go Bucks.
And as your host, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, you're welcome to give us a call or see us at Level 20 on the 17th next Monday there.
Awesome stuff.
Thanks.